What's going on, everyone? And before we get into the tier list, I did want to mention that I do have memberships. I've had memberships for a little while now, and I haven't promoted it in a while. But yeah, if you do like my content and you do want to support me while also having a little bit of perks along with the membership, then do consider, as this is a great way to support me. It is $2.99 a month. You get these loyalty badges, which I think are pretty sick. I may have a bias though. You also get custom emotes for the people who join this, on top of shoutouts at the end of my videos. If you stay long enough to the end of most of my videos, you'll see the list where you would put what your name would be. And then finally, we do have a gameplay review / coaching priority. If you get this will give you priority to allow me to help you with gameplay reviews or coaching priorities, or even like a build thing, any type of thing related to Smite that I can help you with, as long as it's not too crazy, like taking over your account or something. Then I'll be sure to give you priority for this if you are a member. So if you'd like to support me, you like my videos, and you want to be a official member of the channel, please do consider this. This is, like I said, one of the best ways to support me. But with that out of the way, on to the tier list video. What's going on, everyone, and welcome to another tier list for ranked Joust. I haven't done these in a while. I think my last one was towards the end of last year. So, and the format has changed a little bit. I've done a tier list where we go through every single god, and I'm not opposed to doing that, but it seems as though splitting them up into a couple videos, getting your specific classes for every single god it seems to be a better way. If you want to go look at all mages, if you're a mage player, then you can do that. If you're a hunter player, you can go through all the ADCs, that including some magical ADCs. As I said in a lot of my other previous tier lists, some of these gods in here can fit in different roles. So I have a mage tier list, which is pretty standard. A lot of mages will be here. ADCs, so that'll be like most of your hunters, along with like a couple ADCs like Oleron Freya, and then tanks being your warriors, guardian, stuff like that. Hybrid assassins could also be like an Kuang, for example, could be a hybrid assassin on top of being a mage, which is why he's in this tier list. So certain things like that will change. So I urge you to watch all of the tier lists or specific gods. You can watch each tier list because some gods may show up twice. For example, Kuang as a pure damage mage god will be on this tier list, and then will be on a hybrid tier list, which I think is better. Spoilers. But here we are with the mage tier list. So let's get into this. That's not supposed to... There's supposed to be tiers here. Give me one sec. All right, we back. So S plus, S, A, B, C, D, pretty obvious. S plus being your must bans, like you need to ban these gods. S being like borderline ban worthy. If he's open and you're good with him, you can carry. He's like, they're really, 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 really good. A is your pretty good, solid, generally speaking, good in all team comps. B is like middle of the road, meh. There's other gods above it. C being kind of niche, like you got to have a specific team for this. And then D is dog shit. So I've been waiting on this. It's been a while. Things have changed. Mages being my class specifically. And so generally speaking, mages are in a kind of rough spot in terms of conquest and even joust. Hunters are just a lot better. Double tank meta is back, so hunters are going to be prioritized more because, late game hunters shred tanks, kins, dom, xe, shit like that. I still think our mages are still pretty good, along with the changes from 11.1, 11.2, 11.3, where they've sort of balance mages a little bit more. Still not the greatest. They need to do a little bit more to mages, I think, or to other classes to make mages a little bit better. But I think there are a lot of mages you can play that are very, very good and can carry games with. That being first up with Agni. So if you guys know, Agni got a recent buff where now he can walk in his ult, whereas before he was self-root, and so that provided a little bit of there's quality of life with that, but on top of quality of life, it does make him a lot better. I can't tell you how many times you either use your 2 and your 1 to stun, your 3 and your 1 to stun, or your ult and your 1 to stun. Your best way to do it is your ult into your 1, and then your 2 into your 1, and then, you know, you secure an ult with his bomb. The best way, in my opinion, is to ult 1, and so you're able to get the stun off, do a lot of damage, and the bomb. The bomb is pretty easy to hit. And before, when you were self-root, when you would throw out his bomb, you would bomb, be self-rooted, use your 1, stun them. And that self-root actually kind of made it to where certain abilities like your 2 being kind of shallow compared to a lot of other abilities. It's deceptively not long at all. You usually have to stand up like really close to the wave to full clear with your 2, otherwise you're going to miss the back minions. And so with the new self-root being gone, you can ult 1, and as you're slowly creeping up, like 50% movement speed or whatever, I think it's similar to that, to like Anbuis or whatever, you can ult 1, and then as you're walking up in your ult, because you're not self-root anymore, you can land your 2 after you get that stun, which it makes everything so much easier. You're still obviously safe with Agni. Agni was already teetering on that A onto S, bordering these two. With this new quality life, I honestly think he's probably one of the best mages in Joust right now, and I'm gonna put him in S tier. I don't think there are other gods you would probably want to ban before you ban mages like Agni, but if you know they're gonna pick a mage, Agni should be one of those gods that you're thinking about banning. Again, this isn't like a ban every single time, but if you are trying to ban mages, Agni is going to be the one that you think of first. I can't tell you how many times I've been playing up against Agni and I just die, just can't do anything, or vice versa when I play Agni. I actually absolutely dominate with Agni on like almost every single game unless I'm trolling. A little bit harder to play, but if you know how to play mages generally, positioning and stuff, you should be pretty good. But Agni, I think, is probably one of the best mages right now, in my opinion. And keep in mind, this is a mage tier list, so this is going to be all damage, not anything like hybrid or anything. So all these gods here are not going to be hybrid. That'll be in the hybrid tier list. So with that, Alpwash can definitely build a little bit hybrid, but as the full damage dealer, I think Alpwash is probably middle of the road. With the tablet build being sort of good right now, not as good as it once was, I still think Alpwash can cook with this. He is very susceptible to getting killed, so he's kind of mid. Like, you can make him work, but you need a pretty decent team to facilitate that. Not that I think he's niche, because you can still make him work. It's just that, you know, it takes a little bit of time to let him cook, and a lot of times in Joust that just doesn't happen. He gets, like, if you get a Bacchus or something, you're just fucked, or go up against a Bacchus, you're just fucked. So I think Alpwash is around that B as a full mage. Anbuis, I'm never gonna like Anbuis. As much as like certain people can play him well, I think Anbuis, generally speaking, is just niche. You need like an absolute unit of a team to help him. You need somebody to, you know, facilitate him. You need like a Geb or something. You need certain peel. Use your 3. I mean, he just stays in one spot when you ult, so it's just like, yeah, you take a lot of damage from Anbuis. That's what he does. But in Joust with double tanks, you're never really gonna be able to do that. He can work, but like I said, he's a niche pick. I almost want to put him in dog shit D tier, because I anytime I see Anbuis, I'm just like, oh, free game, let's get it. He was a lot better, and that's not really saying much, in the original, like the traditional team comps, where he's like the solo mage. You have a hunter and a tank, as he can burst down those gods a lot easier, the backline, rather than the tanks, double tanks, that being this meta right now. So super niche. You need like a specific team for him to work. Kuang full damage, I think he's also very mid. Sorry, not mid. Mid would be B. He's very niche. Well, I will talk about this more in the hybrid, and spoiler alert, I think he's a lot better. Nothing really changes with certain of these gods. He's just better hybrid. Being able to have like a max attack speed with the berserkers, shoguns, make him a lot better while being tanky. With the execute, I think he's just better tanky. If he can definitely one shot, but in Joust with a double tank team comp, your ult has a lot of potential, and depending on, it doesn't really matter what build path you go. If you go full damage versus full tank, the execute's always going to be the same, and I think that's what he thrives on a lot. Not his main thing. There's a lot of things you can do with his ult, but he's just too squishy if you build him like this, and tanks can prioritize off that and just basically kill you. Unless you're like a demon out Kuang, then you obviously don't need to worry about this. But just a generally, if you want to play this god, I would not play him as a full damage. So I'm going to put him in C as niche. Aphrodite, although I like to play her more as a tank hybrid, I still think she's pretty good. Like, she's probably a solid mage. Like, if you build her full mage and you have a decent team comp with like a double tank, she still fucking slaps, especially with baubles. Now if we didn't have baubles in the meta, I think she goes down to borderline B, in between A and B. But because she has baubles and it doesn't matter how much anti-heal you have, you can just back up with baubles and just heal and heal and heal. And if you're assuming you have all the MP5 in the world, which you should as an Aphrodite, whether or not you build her as a tank or a damage dealer with this tier list, being a damage dealer, Joust, Jesus Christ, run on sentence much, I think she's still very, very solid. I would suggest going her hybrid, which I'll talk about later, but she's still very solid if you want to do her as like a damage build. That is, she's disgusting when you can get like a very good team comp, and you just free heal in the back. You go in, go back, heal, go in, go back, heal. It's so annoying. My girl Baba Yaga. So I think last tier list I put her as S plus. I think she goes down a little bit. I think she's just an S tier pick. And there really isn't anything specific that went to her like as a nerf or a buff involved in her kit that makes her a little bit less. She just feels a little bit worse. And that just might be because of mages. Mages in general feel kind of worse. But she's still very, very fucking good. If you can pick her, then she can very much carry games. I carry games with her all the time. She is my quote unquote main. So, you know, Baba is, she can be borderline S plus depending on what team comp you have and who you're playing up against. A lot of the build paths we're seeing is conduit. She can build all types of shit. She can build the conduit Chronos build with Deso. She can build the Sands of Time into alternate timeline, making her a little bit tankier with Book of Thoth. You can even build her a tablet build. She does proc a lot of her abilities pretty well as she spams out her 2 a lot. Her 1 is pretty out there in terms of like the way it's formatted, where you can do the Y or the L, and so you can pretty much get a lot of hits off that. And then obviously her ult and her 3. Not a lot of weaknesses for her. You use her 3, she's knock-up immune. Now if you have a god that can stun her out of it, like a Kabrakan or something like a Mulan, if you're good enough with a Mulan, you can take her out of her 3. But even then, you still have your ult, which you can knock them back. Super tanky, doing a lot of damage. And if you have a facilitated double frontline team, you can do whatever the hell you want. So very, very good. Still above and beyond the A. Almost want to put her in S plus, but that'd be my bias. I just think that other gods like Agni are a lot better, but super, super good. Baron Somedi as the full damage. I'm gonna put him in A, almost S. I love having a Baron on my team, especially if they play the Baron well. But that's really only if he's playing like a hybrid tank build with Baubles specifically right now, because Baubles is really good. We'll have to see about 11.4 that's coming up soon, but he's still very good. I think that even with the damage build, you can do so much fucking damage. I can't tell you how many times where I go up with like a random Baron and I'm like, oh no, he's not building the tank build. This kind of sucks. We could have just rolled them down if he had the tank build. But then he'd go damage and I'm like, okay, he's doing a lot of fucking damage. He'd use his like 2-1 combo or his 3-2-1 combo and he like half hit the fucking tank. So his potential for damage is nutty. Problem is that he's a better tank because of the amount of, like, you know, his 3 is basically just like a giant slow slash stun if you don't have beads or anything to, like, because you're not like root immune or anything, so you can just like dash away. And then you can use your 2 to heal. You have other abilities, like you can use breastplate of regrowth, allows you to be have more damage and stuff. You're already fast when you use your 2, because when you get heals you get movement speed. So I think he's very good as the damage dealer, but he does have a little bit of you have to play back because he obviously doesn't have an escape. His ult, although is super fucking good, CC or beads burning type of ability, He can be susceptible to damage, very similar to Anubis. You're just standing in your ult, you can kind of just, and as soon as he closes the coffin, you're kind of just standing there for like 2 seconds. So there's like a lot of time where they can just do damage. Now they added mitigations to it a little bit, but still you can do so much damage when he's in that. So he's very susceptible to being picked. So if you have like a Bacchus or like somebody who has consistent lockdown, you can kind of get free damage because imagine getting Cabrakan ulted as a Baron and you don't have your ult or anything. You're just kind of fucked. If you're full damage. So I'd put him in A as the mage tier. On to Chang'e. As much as I love Chang'e currently in the meta, she's really niche. The only time I think Chang'e really works is if we're in a meta where it's a traditional team comp with your tank ADC mage, as she can one-shot your hunter and your mages who don't build any type of defense very easy. You blink, ult, 3-1, and they're just dead. And if you have a specific build in mind, like your double flat pen, Staff of Mirrodin, Spear of the Magus, Rada Tahuti type thing on her to facilitate one-shotting those squishies late game, you can kind of easily win games. She sucks in a double tank, however. So we're in that meta right now, and if you ever played Chang'e into a double tank, you know exactly what I mean. It's brutal. Even if you build all of the ability, even if you build your kit where you have like all the percent pen, health damage related items like Soul Reaver, E-Staff, it still feels bad. With a lot of the Guardians and Warriors, and specifically Guardians, who are really good right now, you kind of just get locked down even if you have your 2. So it does kind of feel bad when you're playing Chang'e because you do have to step up to them, and as a mage who goes full damage, it does not feel good 3-1ing somebody in front of 3-1ing a tank right in their face because they'll just CC you, kill you, and you're just dead. So right now I think she's niche. She only really works into that double backline comp, and there's not a lot of that. So if you do see that though, then Chang'e is a pretty good pick, and I'd honestly, like, if we were in that meta, I'd probably put her up A, B tier, but right now she's just not really that good. On to Chronos. Chronos is an interesting one. I haven't really thought about this one. I'm gonna put him in mid. B. I think he has a lot of potential. He can kind of go the AA build as well as the damage build, pure damage build, which I like more. But with mages not being the greatest right now, he probably does have better. He's probably a lot better as the AA standalone god, although there are a lot of other hunters that are better than him because the rings are not as great either, because mages still kind of aren't as good because of the passive change, still plaguing them to this day. But he does have decent amount of CC. He's pretty safe in his ult. You use him at a high skill ceiling, he kind of just does what he wants. 3-1s, ults away, libs, still have beads, Aegis for all those fights and shit. So he can be very, very good. But he does take a little bit more skill, I think. And that's specifically when it's one. With his mechanics and stuff. His abilities are very simple. It's just hitting them is more high skill ceiling, I think. And obviously timing the ult is another thing as well. He doesn't have a consistent getaway ability, so that's another factor as well. So he can be open. He's fast as fuck, but he can be open to a lot of CC. So I'd put him in a sort of mid tier. He can be very good, or he could be very bad. Into this meta, he can kind of be either or the damage, mage burst damage, or the AA. I'm assuming. I'm gonna guess because I haven't played Chronos a lot. With how hunters are good right now, with hunters being so good right now compared to mages, I'm assuming his ring build is going to be a lot better. Don't quote me. Chronos is one of the ones that I have not. I still think that Chronos is in that B tier though, definitely for sure. Discordia. I'm gonna put Discordia in S. I haven't really liked Discordia in the past. I always thought she was kind of mid, but she's just been one of those gods that's just been consistently good. And then over time, with her ult and her 3, giving her, her ult and her 1-2 doing a lot of damage, consistent CC. With her 2, you can do a lot of shit with her, and then her 3 later in the game can make it to where she just has infinite cooldowns. And if you do like a cheeky bobbles with her, you can actually do a lot of damage. But Discordia has always just been a very solid pick. I almost want to put her A, but I think that with all the mages that are not really good right now, Discordia kind of goes up to S, as she's pretty safe, CC immune ult, 2-1 combo, 3, you know, very easy to carry games with her as well, and is kind of a sleeper pick in my opinion. So if you ever get disco or try to play disco, I suggest you know, playing her. She's very good right now. Eset full damage. I almost wanted to, you know, previously put her in like BC. I think I'm gonna put her in A. With the recent buffs happening to her, she's a lot better. I think with her 1 and her 2, or was it her ult? I can't remember. She got some buffs that made her 1 have more velocity, so she can throw out her 1 a lot faster. And then I can't remember the other buff that she had, but she had more of like quality of life changes from 11.3. She's a lot better. She does a lot of damage. With the full mage build, I don't think she's as good. You put a baubles on her, she's very good, even in the mage burst build. But again, I'm gonna go over as a hybrid. I think she's a lot better as the hybrid, but she is pretty good. With her 3 being able to silence and give your team shields, and her ult doing a fuck ton of damage and healing, she's just built like a guardian, honestly. So I would suggest building her sort of hybrid, but as a full damage, she does very much smack. She is susceptible to CC. Again, she doesn't have a consistent getaway ability. Your 1 is immune to knockups and stuff like that, so that is one thing you want to pay attention to. Silences are annoying on her as well, but overall, I think she's a pretty solid pick, generally speaking. Hades, I'm putting him in D. Hades is dog shit. I hate Hades so much. As a full damage dealer too, he just doesn't do anything. You have to get too close with the meta that we're in, double tank team comp. You're not able to do shit. You can use your ult, but most guardians and warriors you're playing nowadays just walk on out, or use an ability to walk on out. When are you ever going to be able to do anything as a Hades? He's obviously a lot better as your hybrid, but full damage Hades, you just die. Anytime you use your 1, you're just open up to being dead. So you have to 2, 3 and hope to live, and then eventually ult. He's just not good right now. Not good at all. Hebo, I'm gonna put him in niche as well. Hebo is a bursty type god who has a lot of low cooldowns, and I think he really thrived in your backline gods within that meta, and specifically because Hebo relies on a lot of power, raw power, doing so much damage. He just on top of the nerfs that they had a little while ago, he's just not as good. I think they had like a second on his 1 cooldown. On top of that, a lot of the recipes that went away, that being the, I can't remember what it's called, the cooldown one. Can't remember what it's called, but he would go that and it would give him so much cooldown, and with all that taking away, plus the power nerfs, he's just even worse than he was before, and he wasn't that good to begin with anyways. If you're gonna play him, you gotta play him into a double backline team comp, and even if they have that, there's so many other gods. Like, I'd rather play Chang'e more than a Hebo, so I almost want to put him at D, but he still can do things. He's just not that safe either with his ult. A lot of counter picks too, like Fenrir. Fenrir's not the greatest right now, but is still solid and can definitely backline the Hebo. Same thing with like Daji or whatever. So put him in C. He's pretty niche. You need a team comp to fit around him, and then you need to be going up against a team comp that he can kind of just roll. Which double tank team comp, not gonna be one of those. Hel, I'm gonna put Hel in B as a full damage mage. She's not that great. Just doesn't do the things that you'd want her to do as a mage. Ever since they made those changes to Hel back in the day, where same thing with Afro, the healing changes, I think 10.3, she does a lot of damage. Don't get me wrong. She does a fuck ton of damage, but she's very susceptible. She has a high skill ceiling with her 2 in her healing form, so you have to play her pretty well. And at that point, if you're going to play her like that, you might as well just play her as a tank or a hybrid type god. And I just don't think Hel does what other mages do, which is just focus on positioning and just throwing out abilities while being safe, which she is not a lot. Not a lot of times she's not safe. And with playing Hel, you also want to pay attention to how your team is playing, because if there's like a high CC god, like a Jing Chen, and you have a god like Kabrakan on your team, the enemy has Jing Chen, and your team has like a Cabrakan. Cabrakan doesn't have any CC immunity. Let's say that the Cabrakan doesn't buy beads or something, and you're playing Hell. Well, if the Jing Chen ults Cabrakan, he's no way to get out. So Jing Chen throws him into the back and he just dies. Well, if you're playing Hell, you can use your 2 to CC immune the Cabrakan, which is pretty good. But you don't really want to do that as a mage. In my opinion, I don't think you want to be focusing on all these other externalities as a mage. You want to be focusing on your positioning and doing damage and having your team set up, which, she's just better as a tank in my opinion. Still works. I just think she's kind of meh. Hera, I'm gonna go ahead and put Hera in the putting her in C. Yeah, I'm gonna put her in C. I think I would have put her in B in the traditional I think her ult is very good, and her 2-1 combo is very good. But she can get dived so easily. With the double tanks, you can just dive her. She has her 3 as her escape, and she has a little bit of shield. Horrific is really good right now. Sunder is obviously really good right now. So if you're slowing her down with Horrific and getting rid of her shields, and you have like 2 Guardians coming after you with the amount of CC they have, the amount of damage you do with your 2-1 and your ult's just not going to be enough. You don't have enough. You just don't have enough damage as well as self peel. In my opinion, if you're getting dove, which a lot of times you are because it's double tanks, but I wanted to put her in B. I think she thrives more on the double backline. A lot of these gods do, just for the safety aspect of not being able to get picked by guardians and warriors, and also being able to do a lot of damage to backline. So I'm gonna put her in C. E-Shell. I'm gonna go ahead and put E-Shell in the S category. I want to put her in S+, but she does require a little bit more high skill ceiling than a lot of other gods compared to like a Disco or Baba. She doesn't have a consistent getaway ability. She has her ults. She has a fuck ton of CC with her 3, 2, and if you count her blinding 1 as CC, that as well. She does have a CC immune ult. That's a lot. That's very good compared to other gods, and she can kind of move really fast in it compared to like a Baron, for example, who just stays in one spot. So she has a lot of potential to get away even with that. She also has a movement speed in her 3 too. So there's a lot of things that she has. She has so much fucking setup. So much setup with, and she does so much damage too. You can even build her hybrid and she does so much fucking damage. But I think E-Shell's S, very underrated. Not a lot of people play her. Very underrated in my opinion. And if you do play her and get good at her, you can wreck teams. I can't tell you like how many times you can get beads by simply just using your 3 or your 2 with E-Shell. They're very easy to hit, and if you build a cooldown build, you just have them up all the time. Very similar to like a Vulcan, which we'll go over soon. You can root yourself, or you can root people on you if they're chasing you down. So there is a lot of potential to get out as well, which is another thing against double tank team comp. She does have a lot of healing as well, so that's another interesting part of her kit that makes her even better. She can just heal you guys whenever you want. And then obviously her siege ability with her ult is just nasty. Borderline S+ in my opinion. Janus, I think he's better on this map, but he's just not that good. I'm gonna be honest. Niche. He just doesn't do enough damage with their nerfs to the out of combat, or not out of combat, non-conquest modes. Janus was a lot better, and he wasn't even that good in my opinion. But with the non-conquest nerfs that he's gotten, because he had a lot more damage when there was non-conquest buffs that he had, he just doesn't do much at all, if anything. Like, I almost want to put him D, but he can, if you do play a good Janus, he does have that high skill ceiling that you can do and play around and make him work. But other than that, don't pick this god unless you're a demon with him. Kuku. Kuku is still very, very good even after the nerfs and buffs. I don't want to put him S+, but he's basically S+ if you play him right. There's been a lot of nerfs to him, which kind of make me not want to put him there. He was S+ at one point, maybe like 2 or 3 patches ago. But I mean, they nerfed this man's 3, his 1, his ult, his 2. I mean, they nerfed his entire kit. So that kind of puts him down to S, but he's super safe. I mean, there was one team comp that I was thinking about that just really smacks. With Odin being one of the best warriors right now, you can kind of go Odin KuKulKan, and like insert any guardian. And I mean, what the fuck is the enemy team gonna do? If you have a Baubles Odin chasing you down, never dying, on top of Odin Cage, you just use your 3 ult on Kuku while being safe. On top of a guardian that may have peel, like if you add a Kabrak in that, it's just nasty. The amount of the safety aspect with Kuku alone, with even after the nerfs, the amount of damage she still pulls out, he's so disgusting. I actually hate going up against this god. He's the most fucking brain dead god in existence, bro. You throw down your tornado, and then you run away, and siege is done. Wave is cleared, nothing. There's just nothing. And then of course there we go. Yeah, all my frames just died at once. Cool. But yeah, Kuku borderline S+, very similar to Shel, but the nerfs and everything kind of make it push him down to S, borderline S+. Merlin, I'm gonna put Merlin A, high A, almost S. Merlin, I think, has one of the highest DPSs out of all mages. Once you get him online, once you get your Book of Thoth, and once you get your Tablet of Destinies online, Merlin absolutely smacks, especially in his fire stance. Not that I say you should be in his fire stance all that much, outside of trying to do damage. Normally you want to be in your void stance or your ice stance, I believe they're called, something of that sort. He just does so much damage once you get those built online. But because of that, it does take him a while to get that tablet online and book online, all the other items like Chronos, if you want to build that way. You need a cooldown on him as well. He's very high cooldowns. So it does take him a little while to get online, which kind of makes it to where I don't want to put him in S. High A would probably be the best thing for him, just because you can shut him down early game, and with that, he doesn't get online. So that is one of his biggest flaws, and his 3 on top of that isn't that great of an escape. It's like barely anything. You can 3 over a wall, and that's like your max 3 distance. So he doesn't have a lot of safety aspect either, so you just wait for his flicker and you just kill him for free. Be careful though, because he still does a lot of fucking damage. He can use all of his abilities at you all at once. But pretty easy to lock down early game. And if you do that, you can kind of thrash him whenever you want, which kind of pushes him to that A category for me. Morgan Le Fay, I think, will always be very solid. She was one of the best mages, if not the best mage, last time I did the tier list. She's gone down a little bit with the damage nerf. She doesn't do as much damage. And then obviously other gods like Kuku, Agni coming in the meta, or breaking that meta more. It makes her a little bit less. She's still very good. Just throw out your abilities, most annoying god in the world. I don't need to tell you guys, or I don't need to tell you guys again how much she is so broken, especially in duel. She doesn't have an escape, but because of her fear in her 1, her 2 as a knockup and push, and her 3 to run away because she does get movement speed, and then of course her CC immune ult that gives her lifesteal. She can just cycle those abilities over and over again, and it doesn't even matter that she has a consistent, or she doesn't have a consistent getaway ability, very similar to Shel. She's very hard to dive considering all that. She doesn't have a consistent getaway ability, which makes her really good because she just throws out abilities, does so much fucking damage. Annoying ass fucking god, I can tell you. But she has fallen off a little bit compared to other gods. So I think she's still S. Yeah, that's all I gotta say about her. Nox, don't play Nox. Nox is in D. Fuck this god. This god sucks. This god sucks as a mage. She's a lot better as a hybrid. And when I say a lot better, that still doesn't mean anything, because you'll see where she falls on in the hybrid tier list, I guess. She just sucks. You miss one of her abilities, which you can easily juke at like a very, not even a high level. You can just juke at a general level, like gold lobbies. And unless you're a demon with your fucking mechanics, then you're gonna, if you miss one ability, it's Jover. You can't do anything. You use your 2-1, and that's it. You're fucked. What else do you have? You have your 3 and your ult, and then you have to fuck off. You don't do any damage. So it's heavily reliant on her combo, and if you don't hit the combo, you're useless. So mechanically, she has a high skill ceiling, and very simplistically, her abilities are obviously brain dead. You just do 2-1, or 1-2. I can't remember. I don't play her. 2-1, I think it is. And but yeah, she's just dog shit. Don't play her. Nuwa, I'm gonna put her in D. I almost wanted to put her in C because I have this little gimmick. I like playing Nuwa specifically for her minions. If you play her like a tank and you throw out your minions, you build like health items that scale with her too. You can actually fuck early game with her too. Obviously late game, like hunters and shit just destroy her clay minions. But if you have like baubles and you have like tank items that facilitate her too, and you level it up, you can actually fuck with her too, with her minions. They do so much damage. But generally speaking, as a full damage Nuwa, dog shit. You have to play her perfectly with your ult and your one, and that's kind of hard to do in Joust. Imagine two warriors, or a warrior and a guardian, or a double guardian chasing your ass. All you have is your ult, and you better hope that they're still not chasing you after you get your ult, or if they got your ult and they walk away, well, now you're fucked for next team fight. So Nuwa is really bad too. Don't play her unless you're a demon. Persephone, I'm still gonna put her in S. I still think she's very good. She's almost borderline A in my opinion. She does a lot of damage generally with her fucking flowers, as she always does. She's super fucking annoying. Her ult is very good, but she's fallen off a little bit compared to last season. She still is a pretty solid band, because she's, out of all these gods up in the S plus and S tier, she's probably the most annoying. I don't need to tell you why, but she's so fucking annoying. So like, if you wanted to ban her, I understand completely. I just don't think she's as good. I haven't been seeing her a lot either, but with her damage, she does a lot of damage with her 2-1, obviously, but a lot more back in the traditional team comp era, which is why she was like S plus. You throw down your 2-1, you just kill them. Now, as a tank though, you use your 2-1 and they just don't do as much damage, obviously, because it's tanks. And then obviously there are other counters to Persephone. One being an item called, God, what is the item called? Hold on, let me go find it. Item being Absolution. As you can see, Absolution is very good on gods, or is built a lot more on those tanks, especially those gods that don't have CC immunity. So if you buy this on like a Bracken or whatever, or you buy it on like a Terra, you can actually, even if you get ulted by Persephone ult, you just use your ult and you just get out for free. And seeing as there's two tanks, there are two options for two tanks to build one of those items, as whereas before when you had one tank you can only build one Absolution, just wasn't as good. You needed other items online, prioritize that besides that Absolution. But you have two tanks, so you have 12 item slots basically where you can fit in an Absolution. And a lot of times if you go Persephone, you build Absolution, you just kill her for free. She doesn't do anything. So I think she's S, probably high A tier if in my opinion. Poseidon I think is B. I want to put him in C because he's super easy to lock down. He just doesn't have the consistent damage. You have your 3 and your Kraken, that's what you rely on, using your 3 and your Kraken, 3 and your Kraken. And although that can work in a lot of games, it's not going to work all that much towards like not even high elo, like your plat lobbies, stuff like that. It's just not going to work. He's super easy to kill. He can 3 ult himself, but that's not going to do much unless they like royally fuck up, which obviously can happen. But he's too reliant on his 3 and his ult. He's got great clear, and with like Doom or being buffed, I think he's a little bit better. But with the double tank comp, I just don't think that he can kind of do anything against the tanks. He just kind of gets shut down and kind of gets free casted on, in my opinion. So I'm going to put him in the mid, the B. Very similar. Ra is going to go in B. He has a lot more ability to set up, specifically with Neja, for example. His abilities are very inconsistent. You use your 1, your 2. You have to get really close with your 2. Your 1, like I said, it clears way perfectly, very similar to a Poseidon 1. But it's very easy to dodge. His 3 being really good for healing. It's just he doesn't have consistent damage, whereas compared to other gods up here, as you can see, like Disco, Baba, Morrigan. Morrigan's just a better version of Ra, in my opinion. Outside of the old, Ra's ult is pretty solid if you can line it up correctly. It does take a little bit more mechanical adeptness, so I wouldn't suggest playing Ra unless you really want to have fun, and so therefore he's just like middle of the road. There are other guys that are just so much better. Raijin is high A. I still think Raijin is really good, if almost borderline S in my opinion. Raijin is super good. He's underrated. Ever since they nerfed him, no one's really played him, but even still, he does so much fucking damage, I can tell you. His cooldowns are still very low, and if you build a Bavos, for example, that's even more disgusting. You don't need to. He still does a lot of fucking damage and is very safe. Obviously not as broken as he once was, but I think he's a very solid pick. And if you play him, he can dog on a lot of team comps. Scylla, I think, is a lot better too. Still gonna put her in A. Very solid pick. With Conduit Gem being a lot better. Her early clear is disgusting. You can kind of clear like the first wave pretty easily, in my opinion. I haven't played her a lot, but the couple times I played her, the Conduit Gem start has been one of the best starts for her. And then obviously, you know, she does just so much damage to she just does so much damage just in general. With her 2-1 combo, she's very safe with her 3 and her ult. She does take a little bit more mechanical adeptness, like I said before, with like Raw, but a little bit less compared to Raw, because you can, with her 1, it's very easy to miss. But late game, she does so much damage with her 2. So, at one point, she was like the best mage from what I remember, S tier, S plus tier, but I think there are a lot more other mages that take her place and do what she does better, or what she can do a lot better with abilities that are a lot easier to hit, but very good nonetheless. She does kind of struggle with tanks a little bit, but you can still poke them out and do so much damage regardless. Soul is Soul used to be so fucking good. What happened to her? I'm not entirely sure what happened to her. She used to be like your S plus tier type god. I think it may have just been like nothing really specifically happened to her. Not a lot of changes they did to her in high res that I'm speaking to. So I'm assuming my guess is with a lot of gods that get pushed out of the meta, which we'll talk about with like warriors and shit, a lot of gods get pushed out of the meta not just because they're just bad or whatever, but because the other gods are just so much better. And I think that's what happened with the influx of gods like Morgan Le Fay, Baba, Ishel, and like buffs to these gods up here, Agni, KuKu, Raijin at one point. They just kind of push her down to where what she could do at one point, other gods do better. And I think that's where she is. But she's not bad by all means. She's middle of the road though, I would say. Most of these gods up here are going to do what she does a lot better in my opinion. But nothing specifically about her kit that makes her bad per se. There's just a lot more better picks in my opinion. But you can make her work, and she can be a demon with her autos 2 and ult, and she's very safe in her 3, so definitely can make her work. The Morrigan in Joust is C in my opinion. She's a very hard god to play in general because you have to think about who you want to ult into, you know, what level they are, what items they're building. And it's like on the fly, and you also have to need to know like how to play every single god. You may know how to play every single god, but do you know how to play every single god with like specific nuances, like how to play certain gods at like a very high level? Like I can play every single god in the game. I know how to play every single god in the game, but I don't know how to play every single god at the highest level. So that's one thing you have to pay attention to with Morgan. Very easy to lock down even with her stealth. You have to play her up. You have to play her very specific. If you're going to play her, she's very good at killing the backline even with a double tank team comp. So if you are the Morrigan, what you want to do is you want to kind of play to kill the backline. And I'd say she was a lot better with the traditional team comp, which, you know, she was a lot better to do with, or a lot better to play around and kill enemies because you have 2 options instead of 1 now with majority of team comps. So she's not really good against those tanks, but if you can somehow get to the backline, kill the backline, you can do some amount of good plays, I suppose, and win games. But it's gonna be, even at that point, it's still gonna be really hard because you have to play her very, very carefully and hope that your team comp helps with that. You know, getting to the backline. So I'm gonna put her in C. Thoth goes to S+. Not a lot of people are not. You shouldn't be surprised here. Just consistently an annoying fucking god. Contends with Persephone being the most annoying god. Pokes you. A good Thoth player is disgusting. You don't even need to be good at Thoth to play him at what seems to be a high level because you can just throw out your 1, your 2 whenever you want. Build paths, you can go with him. Conduit's very good with him. The true damage on tanks is still very good, so Conduit's going to be really good for you. Sands of Time is still obviously good, but I think Conduit, just for most mages in general, are going to be better. And I think that he does that very well. So he can definitely kill your tanks, kill the enemy tanks. Doesn't really do well with Doesn't really do well with tablet, but I mean, you can still technically build it and it'd be okay, but I think other items like Chronos Conduit, Mirrodin, and shit like that's gonna be better for you. But I mean, what can I say more about Thoth? He's just broken in Joust. He definitely does have a decent amount of counters. So if you can counter him, he's not like invincible, as a lot of these other gods obviously aren't either. But he's just consistently the most annoying, easiest god to just run rank games, and that's why he's going to be S+ for a while, I think. Tiamat was very good at one point. I still think she is still very good. I'm going to put her in top of A. You can honestly put her in S depending on where you are in the game, what rank you are. Her tablet build, she's similar to Merlin. It does take a little bit of while to get her online, but once you get her online, she's better than Merlin in my opinion. Even though they're along the same tier, I think she's still better, and she's very tanky as well. So I am gonna put her up to S. You can argue top A, low S. I'm gonna put her low S. Not that these are ranked in any order specifically between each tier, but Tiamat stands out as one of a very sleeper pick in my opinion too. Very, very good. Very safe too. Nice quality life changes that she has had recently with her 3. But tablet build fucks against all tanks, and you kind of just build tablet every single game. So late game or even midway through the game when you have tablet stacked, you kind of fuck any tank, which is why she's really good right now. And on top of that, she's very tanky in her 3. She gets mitigations when she drops down into her what would you call it, quadrup form, 4-legged form, the animal form. I don't know what the fuck form you call it, the one where she's not floating and she goes on like a dog. She's very good, very safe, CC immune in her ult, kind of just throws out abilities. You build tablet, book, Chronos with either conduit or stand the time and you're fucking. So I think Tiamat is very, very good. Vulcan, we're gonna get to Vulcan. No, we'll talk about Vulcan now. He's one of these two. I'm gonna do top of S. I think he is probably one of the best mages right now. Fuck, I'm gonna put him in S+. Fuck it. Vulcan's going in S+. He's just so good. Very safe with his passive, obviously. With 2 tanks in front of him, he's so hard to kill. Even when you have 2 tanks, I went up against a Hou Yi, Atlas, and a Kabrakan, and you'd think they'd be able to lock me down. Had no problem because I had 2 tanks in front of me. Gods like Osiris that run down gods, Vulcan just counters like easily. Meatballing people obviously on top of you, using your 1 backfire, which is weirdly enough really elusive. And then obviously his ult, he just has so much damage. You can throw your ult whenever you want. It's like 30 seconds once you build him correctly with all the cooldown and shit like that. So super good. You can argue that he's S because he can get shut down if you don't play him correctly. But his turret's so disgusting too, man. His turret just locks down shit. It allows you to do Bull Demon too. If you don't know, you can have one of your tanks go to Bull Demon. You drop down a Vulcan turret next to it, and you basically have 2 people doing the Bull Demon while Vulcan's in mid lane, of course, not doing it and showing their face. So they could just do the Bull Demon for free. So certain things like that. There's a lot of things you can do with him. I think he works really well into the double tank team comp, considering or compared to like the traditional team comp. So in my opinion, S+, but you can put him down to like top S if you want to. He's one of these tiers because he's fucking disgusting. Huang, I'm gonna put in A+, not A+, A. I think he is he's the safest guy in the game right now, and he just does a lot of damage to begin with. Cooldowns are insane. You basically have 3 versions of CC immunity with your ult, your 3, and beads, for example. Super safe, does a lot of damage. His ult is a little finicky, but if you do play him at a high level with his ult, you can do so many plays. You can kill somebody like from the top of your tower to like the enemy's tip of their tower. His ult goes so far, and you can do so many setup plays, and it's actually kind of hard to see what exactly he's doing. It's so fast, you don't see the thing behind you. Even if you do know what his abilities do, it does take a little bit of it does take a little bit of time to realize that, like, there's something behind me that can push me forward into another dragon that does a lot of fucking damage, displaces me, does so much damage, and now I'm in front of you with the tank. So he's super good, super safe. I'd say play him. I love playing this god a lot. Zeus, I'm going to put in B. Very easy to gank, but he does have a lot of fucking damage, and I think he recently got a buff. I don't remember if he got a buff or not, but I think he recently got a buff. But recently he's been pretty solid. Not enough to say to put him in A, because he can still get ganked, killed, and whatever the fuck to him. But I still think he's pretty solid for considering what he was before. I think he was really easy to kill beforehand. That's what it was. His quality of life changes to his 2. You can now bring back your shield, which allows you, and it has a charge on it, so you throw out your 2 and you can actually get a charge with your passive and detonate with your 3. So things like that can make him a lot better, throw out more abilities, do more damage. So I think he's a lot better, but still not that great. Zhong Kui, very similar. I think he's in B as well. Not the best god, can do things depending on the build you have, can be somewhat hybrid. He recently got a buff too, just didn't really push him into it. To the front scene, but I still think he's an okay midway type god. You can do things with him, but he can obviously still be very susceptible to damage. He used to one-shot backliners, but I mean, if you get shut down or if you get locked down by tanks, I mean, there's not really much you can do, as he doesn't have an escape. All he has is his 3 and his ult, so I'm gonna put him in mid. But that is the mage tier list. No surprise at the top 3, in my opinion. I think Agni, Thoth, and Vulcan are probably your best mages, and below that are your other best mages. These are your mages you want to prioritize mostly, and then obviously A+ are gods that are pretty solid, and then below and beyond this, you want to be careful when playing. But this is your mage burst tier list. Again, a lot of these gods may show up in another tier list, for example, like Kuang, or even Nox. And Aphrodite and Hel, for example, might show up, or Poseidon and Chronos in another ADC tier list type thing. So this is your tier list. Hope this helps. My face is frozen because there we go. Nice. Thank you, OBS. I need a new computer. But yeah, this is your tier list. Mage Burst tier list. Let me know if you have any questions in the comment section down below. Let me know if I may have missed anything or you have a disagreement. Let me know in the comment section down below. I'm always eager to see what you guys are talking about. But if you like my content, like, comment, and subscribe. But that is everything that I have for you. So, with that being said, thank you guys for watching.